What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker, and today on Unique Access, we have the honor and the privilege of being joined by Chris the Glove Taylor. Thank you for coming through, sir.
Man, thank you for having me, bro.
Yes, West Side all day, as we know. So, Glove, man, there's so much I'm just gonna say it now, probably have to have you come back, because there's so much that I've always wanted to ask you and to do a real thorough interview like we're about to start now. So,
I'm at your disposal.
Yes. So, as we were talking a little bit off camera, I wanted to get a little bit into your background and coming up, because especially in these times, I think it's interesting and important to learn perspective. Mm-hmm. And for you, I didn't know that you had gotten bused. So explain what was going on in your childhood and how and why you ended up getting bused to go to school.
Okay, so when I was when I went to my elementary school, I grew up on the South Central Los Angeles, mm-hmm. near Florence and, Western, and where the riots jumped off, actually, a little further down by Maine. So over there, this was during integration. See, because I was born in '62, so I used to have to, when I was in Alabama with my mom, we used to have to step off the sidewalk for white people to walk by. Wow. I actually remember that.
Wow.
Okay.
And this is him remembering.
This is me. This is not my great-grandmother.
Yeah, it's not his great-grandmother. It's him.
As a child, we got to step out. We couldn't go in places, no color. Some signs was up there in the '60s. Y'all don't know this. So we got bused. They wanted to integrate everybody. Like, y'all ain't cool, blah, blah, blah. Country had a great idea. Let's throw all the school colored and whites together. Because we were colored back then. Whack. So people from now listen, I was from that side of town, but we were not by no means poor. It was a nice house. We had 2 cars. It's just that the neighborhood kids was bad. It's just how it go. And then it wasn't a bad, okay, so people from the East Coast always come in and say, oh man, this don't look like people, you've heard that. When you first got here,
yeah,
Compton don't look like anybody should be getting shot there, right?
No, nice when I moved to California and I went to Compton for the first time, it was different aesthetically in the sense of the grass wasn't as green and all that, but it literally could have been my neighborhood where I grew up.
Exactly.
The houses were around the same size. Some had garages, some didn't.
Subdivisions,
it had a backyard.
The way it was broke down. You were surprised.
I was like, this is Compton? I had no idea.
Because of that. So we were their neighborhoods were like ours. They just were a little bit greener grass, a little bit bigger house, extra bedroom, whatever. I had friends. So what they did was, we used to have to catch the bus. I went to Raymond Avenue, and I got moved to Emerson Manor, which is by the airport LAX in Los Angeles. It's in a nice neighborhood.
Okay.
It's a pretty school right next, when I got there, I was like, wow, because our school was a little beat down, and they just don't take care of them the same. It's all in the school district. Maybe it's a list. I'm not trying to blame that on anybody, but when I got over there, I hadn't been in a classroom that looked like that. It was like the Brady Bunch. Because the Brady Bunch was on TV like every week. Brand new TV show. You know what I mean? It's like the Brady Bunch. That's like saying, what's the big show on TV now?
No.
So that's how we got into the busing. They integrated me to the West Side, and that's when I started my interaction with young people my age of a different color. I was the only black person in my class.
And how, what impact did that have on you?
To be honest with you, it was always like that in LA. Wherever we went, we were like if you really pay attention, when you go places like Hollywood and all that, just regular, you really ain't that many black people. It's like 15% or less. And 15% is like, if it's 100 people, it may be 15.
Right.
It's really like that. All the hot clubs and stuff, you look around. Now, if it's just saw celebrities of a type of music, it'll be a lot of brothers and a lot of people who like that type of thing. But if it's just Manhattan Beach, try to flow through them clubs.
Right.
But it's a joy. Because see, yes, so there's racism, but there's also rareism. When you're the only one, somebody likes you, whether you whatever color. Oh, that one right there. So I used to get a lot of that action.
Oh, who are you?
Right.
Gotcha.
I'm exotic.
Okay.
Everybody else is white. What you do. So that was my first experience of learning that there really isn't a difference, but then there is, because they had a thing. I learned about privilege. Like, we would go in the store, they could go, but I couldn't go. I was like, why they go? I'm taller.
And what years was this happening?
67 through 72.
Wow.
Yeah, 72. I stopped getting bused, and I went back to Raymond Avenue. I was there bused for 4th, 5th grade. Then I went back to Raymond Avenue, finished there 6th grade, and then went to Henry Clay. Stay back. No more integration. It was just whatever now. They just already integrated. No more busing like that. Now it's bus for if you can't afford to get to school. It's not you got to go to that school.
Right.
Because now we've integrated. See, it worked. We learned about those neighborhoods. We learned that our parents, they didn't know, they're not so much more expensive. So the ones who made a little bit more, integration. So look, after integration came people moving to the west side of color. And then after that became Ladera Heights. That was, you could not move into Ladera Heights being black. It's in the charter. And in 73, they got rid of that, 73.
That's crazy.
And that's when all black people were there. It was all in Baldwin Hills.
Right.
That's the Black Beverly Hills. But then Ladera opened up, and all the people who had more money went there. And now we just kind of did what they were feared, it's all black. Because we can afford it. But yeah, that's the story of me being integrated in the...
So as all this was happening, how did you develop the love for music?
Not then. I didn't get into music until I was 12 or 13.
And why do you think that's when it clicked with you?
When I was 11, 12, my mom is of the thought of you got to take an instrument. So I had to take an instrument. So I tried to think of some way out. So I said the organ.
Okay.
Right? It was electric. So think about this. When I grew up, there's the piano, there's the organ, and then the Fender Rhodes comes along. That's the only two electric things.
At that time.
Electric. You got an electric guitar. Remember that's... There was a guitar, then there's the... See, I'm not that old, but music is not what people think it is. They think, oh, yeah, we've been doing this for blah, blah, blah. We didn't even know. So from there, I learned the organ from a man named Toussaint McCall who had a gold record on the wall, right? And I was like, what's that? And he was like, oh, that's from me playing... He was like Billy Preston. He had a hit record playing the organ.
Okay.
I forgot the name of it. I think it's Nobody Takes the Place of You. I think that's his hit song. Toussaint McCall, he taught me how to play the organ. So I used to see that on the wall. This is funny because I'm actually remembering this. I never even thought about it. That's the first time I ever saw that. And I was like, what is it? And ever since then, I wanted that.
Yes. I not even on the creation side, but when I got my first gold record, shout out to Noriega for the NORE album, I was like, man, this is a great feeling.
Yeah, right?
It's an amazing feeling. And every time I got one, it was I always caught that high. It was amazing. I
tell you what, somebody is seeing those and getting inspired to death, bro. Like, oh my God. That's what I was like, oh. You got those hanging, maybe your kids. Somebody's like, oh, I want that. They ain't gonna say nothing yet though.
There's a reason why they talk about the plaques on the wall.
There is. So from that, I learned the organ. And from the organ, I taught myself how to play the piano and the Rhodes and all that because it's a different method. Like the organ is the left-hand chords, right-hand melody, and the fifth is a bass, and then volume. But the piano is accompaniment together, and then the bass is in the left hand. See what I mean? So my bass was the foot. I'm playing this part. That's supposed to be played with this hand. So I had to reverse learn, no feet. So I had to teach them that. So from there, I started playing songs on the radio with the piano because I could listen to the radio, and then I got into music. Like I was 12, 13, like, oh, it was Boss Skaggs. That's what got me into music.
Okay. So
Dirty Lowdown.
So given that you've had such a long career and you've done so many things with mixing, with producing, with being an artist, with all these different things, how do you think learning an instrument affected your trajectory on your career?
Okay, so I learned this. If you add a musical instrument to a child's development at an early age, their IQ increases. IQ is only how much you can learn, the quotient of your intelligence, This guy can learn this much, we assume. This guy can learn this much. But the guy with the lower IQ may be richer. This guy may have 1 million ideas and concepts, but can't gather them together because he got 1 million ideas and concepts, you know what I'm saying? So, I believe that when children get the instrument. If you look, you can see they take the instruments out of the schools of LA Unified, for instance, and the tests go down.
Yeah.
But nobody can correlate that. They call it something else. It's like with COVID. They said it was vape deaths when they were smoking those things, but all of a sudden those are gone. They just all of a sudden stopped. But there's more vape pens out there than there were before. It was something else killing them and they didn't know what it was. Part of it had to do with China because we stopped taking their stuff. You see what I mean? It's like things don't, in hindsight, that's COVID. In hindsight, that's bad to take instruments out of school.
Absolutely.
Lowers the IQ of the nation.
And it stifles creativity. There's so many things.
Which goes on in mathematics, bro.
Right.
So math is creativity by design. It's magic. Really, those numbers don't do that. They can just write. Einstein knows, remember, you ever seen those big formulas they write up there? That's an elaborate incantation, bro. You can make those numbers do and say whatever you want. It's magic, like music. I know it's hard to understand if you look at a beat. Yeah. Those are all numbers.
Yeah, it's all
4 bars,
all
8 measures, how many times you hit it, triplets, everything is a number. If you could adapt that to math, you would love hearing what you see because you could hear it. So musical instruments created my trajectory, to answer your question. If it wasn't for learning that organ, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I asked, because I think people draw inspiration from so many different sources, but then when you have an exposure to an instrument, it gives you a whole different world and a different way to look at things. I, had a very different experience because I didn't enjoy when I was told I had to play instruments. It affected me in a different way, but I still loved the music, so I had to figure out how to be involved in it without actually playing an instrument. So, or I just had the wrong instruments, either way, however we want to look at it. But that being said, when I was first getting introduced to you was through Reckless, which is obviously several years later. Yes. So what was going on creatively to your development to lead up to getting a deal with Polydor, and how did that even manifest?
Okay, well, basically, we'll skip over the story, but I was about 18, 19, I'm DJing. And so the rise of DJing, shout out to my boy Julian Jackson, who I just discovered I'm an exact duplicate of. He handed me the actual torch. He was a Billboard reporter. I'll explain what that is, but we used to control the charts for Billboard. It's 100 Billboard reporters, 2 per city, select cities, and so we would, I play these records, you give them your top 20, and they create the Billboard, dance chart from that. So we had power. He quit his position, I became the next Billboard reporter, and I was the last one. So it's just that kind of thing, because it's like winning a Pulitzer.
Okay.
Like if you're a writer and you win a Pulitzer, all of a sudden everybody knows about you. All those people, every book company is after you. They're giving you their stuff. They want you to say something, right?
Yeah.
It was like that. Pulitzer of DJs, Billboard reporter, but because of their publication. So once, I'm DJing, right? So I'm DJing for this club called Radio. They want to make a movie about the club.
Right.
So I'm hearing these guys, they used to come, so Radio, real quick to paint the picture, Ice-T is an MC, so he would introduce whoever was going to perform, and in between he would entertain. So I was like the band. I would come on at 11, I played music to accompany him. It wasn't really for the dance floor at that time. And then he would start rapping, I start cutting, and then people start breakdancing, and the party's on. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. Right. Then we'll have people come up on stage. So we started noticing, we stood up on stage all night. We could see the people down in, when you're in a club, you can't see who's over there.
Right.
But when you up here, you can see all of them.
Everything.
Oh, Madonna's over there, Prince over there, Michael Jackson in here, different nights, Sting, Miles Copeland, Clarence Avant, little baby Janet Jackson, because there was no age limit. You know what I'm saying? 13, you could come in. So me and Ice are on stage, and I'm thinking, I'm from the West Side. In high school, I played the Rhodes on a damn platform that they used to roll out. I've been on stage a long time, right? And I'm in here going, these people come to see us, bro. So it's like the influencer thing. I don't care if I have 20 followers. If they're Prince, Michael Jackson, Madonna, da-da-da. So we was in there feeling ourselves like, yo, we're their stars.
Right.
We're the anti-star. Like all the people who everybody's pop star come to see us. So it created this kind of weird atmosphere. And so it was a larger than life. And them dudes said, we're going to make a movie about this. So they did Breakin'. And then they're in the midst of me DJing and stuff, we had a break. And I had a girlfriend at the time who overheard them talking about putting music in the scenes, and they was going to get Africa Bambaataa. And I had just done Breaking and Entering, and Egyptian Lover taught me, shout out to Egypt, taught me how to work a 808 drum machine.
Right.
So off of my first check from Breaking the week before, I bought one, right?
Okay.
And then I was just learning how to do the beats and getting in there. Reckless was like one of the first ones after Breaking and Entering. Man, those cats was like, Africa Bambaataa, she said, you better go tell them you do music, boy.
Right.
So I walked over there and said, man, I'll do this, bro. You know, I just walked over there like I owned the place. And they said, okay, well, we got 2 scenes. We want you to compose them. They gave me this money to do them. So I go in, I don't know what the hell composing is. I can read music and all that. So I'm thinking they want me to compose something, right? Because remember now, this is 1983.
3-ish, yeah.
4-ish, yeah, right, beginning of 84. So it's funny because I go find Victor Flores, who I had been doing bootleg vinyl. So everybody was making mixtapes on cassette.
Right.
But fuck that. I was making the records that they was putting on their mixtapes.
Right.
Mixes though. I had Scratch Dance and a couple other break mixes with Victor Flores. So he had an engineer he knew. He said, I know a guy, Dave Storrs, he got a studio. Let's go over to Salty Dog. So he shot me over there. I paid the dude, and he taught me how to compose, bro. He literally taught me. I paid, but he showed me. I mean, you know, we made the music. I took him over to the studio where we were doing ADR and stuff, and he's making me look like Superman, you know what I mean? Because he's an engineer. Right. So I was like, so my experience was, that engineer is the shit. I want to do that, because I'm a DJ, right?
Right.
I could make a beat already. I made 2 beats, 4 actually. They went in Missing in Action. I'm hot on beats now. I'm like thinking I'm shit on beats because I got up in movies. Forget that rap stuff. Remember, rap wasn't really, it was, if you was a rapper, it was Run DMC, Beastie Boys, you know.
Part of what I wanted to get at with Reckless, because when I remember seeing the vinyl, and I heard it after it had come out, given my age and my exposure and stuff, but I realized that, you know, it was you guys. Ice's name wasn't on it except real small. Rap, Ice-T.
Rap by Ice-T.
And I was like, wait a minute. At that point, I was very early in learning about rap, but I started noticing and I understood that it was about the DJ, it was about all these other things, but I was also like, wait a minute, Ice-T is the one who's on this song that I'm hearing. How come he's not higher profile or named or whatever? So how did the labeling and how the songs identified, how did that come about the way it is?
If you go to any artist today and ask them that question, guess what they're gonna tell you? Same shit I'm gonna tell you. I don't fucking know, bro. I didn't make that label. I didn't tell them, put this. I wish I was that powerful to put Rap by Ice-T in little letters. Right. But this is the thing. Rap wasn't really nothing.
Right.
See, look, they had 11 songs. They hit us at the last, they called me. Hey man, you think you can make a rap thing off of one of those things you did for the movie? I said, okay. I took the first one. Now remember, I ain't made no record. I just did Breaking and Entering. Ain't no raps on those really, except maybe, ain't no raps on them.
Right, I was about to say. Yeah.
It's all instrumental. We wasn't producing vocalists. It was like, that dude raps over there. I don't know nothing about that. Okay. Right. So they said, okay. I said, okay, I need some money then. They said, okay, we'll give you X. I gave all that money to Ice because I got paid so much money from the thing, but I obviously had spent it by then. I needed some money to pay Ice-T, so I just said, okay, cool. So this is what happened. This is 1984. Hey, Ice, can you come through the studio and put one of them things, a song like how we do at the thing? He was like, yeah, man, for sure. It wasn't no money thing talk, but when he came, it was like, I had him $1,500. Like, here, this is 84. That's like 15,000.
I was about to say, that's a gang of money.
Right, it's a lot.
That's a gang.
I was like, wow. And he was already getting money. We was getting like $1,300 a week.
That's a lot back then, too.
For the movie.
Yeah.
That's movie scale. I gave him that for the night. He was there for 6 hours.
Right.
And that shit was one take. I don't even remember no paper. All these people talk about that shit about, hey, Jay-Z don't write nothing. Ice was rapping every night on stage. He was freestyle. Pay style. What you talking about, freestyle? Who made that dumb shit up? Slavery. So anyway, freestyle is slavery. Right, Dane? Anyway, I digress. So the whole thing with the labeling, when I saw it, I was like, cool, because it was like Grandmaster Flash in the Furious Five,
okay.
Eric B. and Rakim, Chris the Glove and Ice-T. That's just what it was. Because let me tell you the secret: the original B-boy, you can take all them elements, graffiti, who wants to claim to be the backbone of hip hop, and rappers. No offense, Dane. Watch what I'm telling you. All of this shit would be a convention without music.
Yeah, you got.
It would be a dichotomy of words. People would be standing up there talking about things all in prose with no music. You put music and it's a party. As soon as the music starts, they rap to the beat. As soon as they get on beat, people dance. B-boy stands for break boy, as in break beat, as in the DJ is the first B in B-boy. Fuck everybody else. If it ain't no party, it's just a bunch of people standing around. It's a protest. That shit's dull. Right. It wouldn't have started hip hop.
Right.
But them beats banging and them dudes on beat and them cats dancing all together.
On beat.
You could have taken any other elements out. You keep the music, it'll still go. You take the music, that shit's an old thing that happened in the 60s or 70s.
Right.
What do you think?
No, I agree. And that's why, fast forwarding a bit, that's why when people would always ask me what songs I liked or what's more important, it's always the beat. Because the beat dictates everything else about the song, and the artist has to work in concert with the music in order to make a great song. And as you know, there's so many artists that are great lyricists or have great rhymes, but they can't make songs. And because they can't make songs, their popularity never reaches where it could if they could make songs. And that's the difference, in my opinion, of why a freestyle rapper or a backpack rapper or whatever, a punchline heavy dude that isn't able to make that transition, that's why they can't, because they can't make songs. And songs are what drives it, and the songs are based off the music.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the music business. So, like, it's not the song, it's the song business, but it's not the vocalist business. It's not the singer business. It's the music business. Singers can sing. Okay, so let me just put this to you. Name me one rapper with a acapella album that sold 1 million copies. And then I'll turn around and tell you a producer who put out an instrumental album and sold millions of copies.
Right. Yeah.
There's even a #1 instrumental. There was one #1 acapella song, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Well, that's not even acapella all the way.
He's singing the melody and bouncing
there's
the beat.
melody,
There's instruments in there.
There's instruments in there.
They came from here.
Yeah.
So it's not the same. Okay, so you know what happens?
It's not fully acapella.
Right.
It's
you know
close.
what that would be called if rappers and those people who wrote lyrics and did their thing and put them out without music? What? Books.
It'd be a written book. It'd be poetry.
Poetry.
It'd just be poetry.
Right. But they'd be written down on paper or whatever, not on CDs with music.
To your exact point, even the spoken word, when we get to Gil Scott-Heron and the Last Poets and the Watts Poets, all the great artists like them, they all put music. Even Dolomite.
Right. They didn't crack without it.
They all
knew
had
that.
Music underneath it.
And they knew that. Yeah. So this is the thing. In the music business, or in the music writing history overall, there's two types. Now, there are singers, this is how music is supposed to be written. I write a song. I have a melody. I sing my song to myself. I go seek out a musical accompaniment.
Right.
I've written my song and the melody. And now I'm going to find someone who can accompany me. Can you play along with this? La 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 la. That's how songs are written. If a song, that's a 50-50 split at ASCAP.
You got to explain that. It's a songwriter.
That's a songwriter and a musical accompaniment. They wrote it like this. Well, actually, no. The music was written separate but brought in as an accompaniment because the melody and the lyrics existed. When you write to a track, you actually don't get 50%. You're supposed to get 40% off top because you were inspired by the music. You get it? We're the muses. We make the music. Y'all write to it. Y'all don't write no, give me this rap. Here's a beat. No. So but we give y'all 50%, it's cool. But I know the truth and the law. So, you know, it's a weird thing, but you just can't have music industry. So an industry is when a business becomes profitable enough to where they can have a public interest in group. And then in that group, they can give money to public and, you know,
well, speaking of money,
politicians.
Speaking of money and Ice-T, the thing that I always thought was interesting with Ice as his career progressed is very early on, obviously he was in the streets, but he also was doing parties. He was starting to make records. He, you know, had appearances in films early on with Breakin' and different things. And what did you see and notice about Ice back in 83, 84, 85, before 6 in the morning that made you, did you feel like, oh man, this guy's got something special?
That is a star.
Well, tell me, what was it?
Okay, so this is how I did radio. I was delivering speakers. They were already going for a while. They had another group, DJs. Shake City was in there before me. Shout out to Trev and Chevy Shank and Suave and Booker. All those cats was in there holding it down. I mean, I just came in and kind of rocked the house. And so they just was like, okay, this is what happens. We heard you're a DJ, the promoters. I'm like, yeah, I'm a DJ. What's your DJ name? Stuck, right? I ain't never had that.
Okay.
DJ Chris? Nah. Come back tonight at 11. We want to hear you. You can just go on. We'll have a name up there because we put everybody's name on the marquee, up in the lights and the thing. So like, okay, cool. So I come back. I'm, you know, like today, 11-ish. I get up there. I look up. 11 p.m., the glove. That's me. I go DJ. It could be a dude that was in the bathroom, like using the bathroom, waiting to come out. And I was up there DJing when he came out and was like, I'm the glove. I don't know. I saw that name in lights.
And you were like, that's it?
They said 11, they have a name for me, and there it was. God had been doing that for me since before then.
Okay.
So I walked into that name, which was a stage and lights.
Wow.
I just walked in and DJ'd. If I was whack, it would have ended. Since I could hold up to the lights, they weren't hot and melted me. I like lights. I was up in there like backward, behind the back, whatever, elbow scratch, under the leg, throwing records in the crowd. Nobody does that still. They can't throw a record at a dude to throw me a record and put the shit on. You know what I'm saying? You doing that, and they like, okay, this guy is like, whatever. So then from there, you know, this time I lost track of what the question was.
Well, with Ice-T, what was it
that
you noticed
so
about
I'm doing these things, right? I get the job. But when I go in there, the one thing I noticed, this guy, light-skinned dude, I thought he was white at first, up there. And I'm shaking, I'm like, damn, he going. That dude, I'm looking at him and everybody's watching him. And I'm like, I had never seen no rap show. I was delivering speakers and DJing parties, but we didn't have rappers.
Right,
we had DJs who would say, the roof is on fire. You know, that was it. You know, that kind of stuff, chants for the crowd. I'm like, man, this dude is tough. What is this? He's like those dudes, you know.
Right.
Like, you know, he wasn't doing it like Africa Bambaataa and that stuff. He was like, like LL hadn't come out, but it was like,
he was rapping.
He rapping like Run DMC, like Grandmaster Flash. Melly Mel was it though, right? I was like, he's like Melly Mel. That's what it was. And I was like, oh, man. Okay, so I thought he was a star then. So yeah, and then he's charismatic. Like if you talk to Ice.
I've known Ice a long time.
He's captivating.
Yes.
Quite captivating, that dude is. Like, I understand how pimping works, talking to him. It's a mental state. It's like he's a mentalist. He tell you what you want to hear, you know how to get you right, and blah, blah, blah. He could uncloud stuff for you. Like, I remember one time we were sitting at Otis Parsons, it's a fashion institute downtown, not far from where radio was, but it was a dorm for all girls. I'm like, Ice, how you get us in here? And we sit in the lobby chilling. It's like, oh, you know, I got bitches up in here, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like bitches up in there. They coming to him, white, whatever. This dude got the most exotic taste. And I'm sitting there, damn, I like that. I want to do that. I want it to be Ice-T, bro. Okay. I ain't gonna lie. That's how I felt.
Right.
I don't think he knows that. Don't tell him. Now I don't want to be him. I want to be me.
Right.
I wanted to be that. And so I tried to get as much of that as I could. I found that it was mostly kindness, listening to people, and sharing what you feel in your heart. That's what he did. And so I tried to be that.
It's interesting you say that with Ice because I've talked to him and he's told me this several times over the years in different ways, but basically he was saying, and I talk about this in my book, The History of Gangster Rap, but Ice, when he heard Schoolie D, PSK, and he understood, and he had heard it was like gang stuff that Schoolie was talking about, he was like, wait a minute, because he was in Santa Monica and he heard the PSK at a club there, and he was like, wait a minute, this is gang stuff? People want to hear this? So when he did 6 in the morning,
he went straight gang.
It was just like, that's what people wanted. And he was like, I got that for days. That's what I do off the stage.
Well, but see, you skipped one, I believe. I think Colors, was before 6 in the morning, right? Or
No,
after?
it was after.
After?
Yeah.
Okay, because like, the way I remember it was like,
well, he had gang rhymes,
yeah,
so maybe he
was rapping
applied some
them.
of those.
I saw him rapping them, right, live. So he would have, like, Cold Wind Madness was that record, the first one.
Yeah.
And then after Cold Wind Madness was Reckless. And then after Reckless was
He did
not 6 in the morning, right?
No.
Yeah.
He had a whole bunch. The
Of
thing
other
is,
stuff.
He had a bunch of songs that came out before 6 in the morning. 6 in the morning was also the B-side. So the thing was that when that registered, he heard 6 in the morning. He heard PSK and then applied it to 6 in the morning with the flow, the style, the song, and all that. But then when 6 in the morning was what took off, he was like, people like that? He was shocked.
It was the biggest thing.
He was shocked.
Bigger than any other record that took off in the streets. Wow.
Yeah, because he was like, oh, I got tons of that.
Right.
And that's where he turned that to his focus. But he also, as you see on Rhyme Pays and Power, those two albums in particular, because they're the first two right after or his first two albums. But you still see, and even the Rhyme Syndicate Coming Through compilation, you see him still rapping like he was at the party. And there were songs like, I'm Your Pusher or High Roller or You Played Yourself. Those records, and Pain and Squeeze the Trigger and all
slid in there.
Yeah, those were part of it, but he also had the Radiotron element.
Oh, Radiotron element. I was saying player element.
Oh, no. I'm talking about, I'm talking about the stage performance party rock.
Yeah.
That was still, people forget that, and that's why the song Power, to me, is so powerful, because it starts off the album, and it's more of the braggadocio, freestyle, party type of rhymes, and then when you get into the drama and I'm Your Pusher and High Rollers and all that, that shows you his range, his versatility, which all goes to your point of him being like a star, because he could do,
dude.
People, I think, overlook, underestimate, don't appreciate, because he's such a big icon, period, and then on television and with acting. But like, if you go back and listen to Ice's albums, like, he has such a wide range of songs and over different types of beats. He produced them with Africa Islam. It's just a whole thing that people don't appreciate.
It's a collage. You get in there and he can swim through like a chameleon and do all those different things, because he's an actor.
Yeah.
So he can be all these characters. And then I believe all of this stuff is like different hymns. All the songs are different. Imagine him acting out all the parts. I mean, because, he writes.
Well, he does. On I'm Your Pusher, remember, he's got the different voices.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Slick Rick did that and made it famous, but Ice and others were doing a similar thing at around the same time.
Yep, but he always has characters within.
Yeah.
That don't do that. They're just there. Like, like that I would consider a character when he gets into the I'm Your Pusher vibe.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And then when he gets into the party radio type vibe, that's another character. But the thing is, he's such a great actor.
Let's talk about Dre, since you brought him up. With getting with him, exactly when and how did that happen?
I had a good friend of mine named Dave Jaquette. Shout out to Dave, party man. So LA is, so I'm a DJ at Paradise. Remember, I was at radio, right? I told you who was in that crowd. So I move on to Paradise. Paradise got Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, all the NBA, it was 1,500 people every Thursday, top echelon celebrities. I'm still DJing for them dudes. I'm still the guy for myself, you know what I mean? They come to see me.
Right.
No Ice now, it's just me. So I'm DJing. I used to play from 12 to 2. I'd close it out. Every time I play the last song, everybody's like, oh, I'd let the air out the building. It was great. So from doing all of those things, and my friend Dave, NWA had come out, but they can't come in. They wear, okay, so I'm in an upscale club. You gotta wear suits and stuff. They wear them hats. They never taking them hats off, so they can't get in Paradise. And it's the happening, so they want to go. So my boy Dave, I'm telling him I want to, he knows I do music because I done the Ice-T thing. Notice I did Ice and nobody else. And then I started working with Dre years later because I wasn't really into rap at all. Everybody doing R&B was making 10 times the money. Like a rap deal was $125,000. A record deal was like $500,000. You get like $200,000 for you.
Right.
I'll go make a entire rap record and have money left over. So I was like, So I'm scratching. I'm playing these clubs, and I'm working with Quincy Jones, Bobby Brown, through Lil Silas Jr., all those records on MCA, all those records on Polydor. I meet Ed Eckstein. I'm in, but I'm not a producer. I'm a DJ.
Right.
So I'm just a performer. I'm in all these studios. My first foray through the studio was as the creator of the music for the score. My second foray was as a performer DJ for Quincy and all these people, right? I'm not a producer. I'm in these studios, I ain't never seen nothing like it. I did that one record, right? And I did the movie thing. But I go in these big ass SSL rooms and I'm stunned.
Right.
Like, oh, I really want to do this. You know, you see the pictures with the big board. I saw. So, you know, from there, I was like, I want to do all of these things, man, Dave. You know, I need to meet somebody that's doing it. So he went and met Dre and brought him to my house.
Wow.
I met Dre in my driveway. I was taking the trash out.
Okay.
Dave, I seen him whip around in a convertible vet. It's like, what the hell? Dre driving. He had NWA, they #1. He pull up in my driveway, what's up? I'm like, damn. And then my man Dave tells me, because Dave had been hanging with them. And I was like, you hanging with those NWA guys? What are they like? It's really you know, I'm from the West Side. I got bussed over. I'm basically a black-white kid, right? I'm like, is Compton like that? I got cousins live in Carson. Okay. We drive through Compton. It's like the good suburb, where, you know what I mean? So, Compton, we don't go there. Like, that's why the thing was, when they came out and said Straight Outta Compton, it was like, they're coming out?
Right.
Dude, it was so brilliant. So Dave brings Dre over. I meet him. You know, he says, "Hey," I'm like, I'm a producer. You know, I'm like, I'm not stuck, but I'm kind of stuck. Like, I'm taking the trash out. It's like, dude, yeah, I'm a producer, but I'm like what I am. It was weird at the time.
Okay.
Producer, engineer, you know, okay, keyboardist, but I do this part, the board. That's the axe. Like, I can make anything with this SSL. I don't even need instruments. So I do that now, right? So he was like, well, I'm looking for somebody who can, like, kind of get everything started for me, be there, like me, be a me. I'm looking for another me, but so I can just walk in and make sure my stuff is tight or get an idea going for me, you know, a collaborator. I said, that's me. I'm your guy. I'll collaborate with you. I had never worked with another producer.
Okay.
You know, and I had just started from DJing and all of that. I started writing songs. And so I played the music that I was working on for him, and that's when he said that. I had a group called Poor Broken Lonely that I was working on. And so we had like 10 songs we were developing, and he loved it. So he signed me as a producer for Ruthless, and then he signed my group also to Ruthless. We was the only R&B group signed to Ruthless. So that's when he started working on 100 Miles and Running. And the thing was, my boy Dave gave these Wet and Wild parties. Me and Dave gave those 2 parties for Easy and Dre. We put those parties on with them, but I DJ'd and there I got video.
I'm sure you do.
But yeah, that's how I met Dre, in my driveway.
So then, the other interesting thing about working with Dre, and you still do, is that you met Dre in the 80s and still are working with him now. So you do so many different things, and obviously Dre does as well. How has your role or your work with Dre evolved? Because some songs I know you mix, some songs you co-produce, some songs you produce, and you've done
I play instruments on.
Yeah. So how and why did your work and collaborations with Dre evolve and grow so much over the years?
I like to consider Dre Captain Kirk and I'm Spock, right? I like to be Spock. Everybody wants to be Dre. I don't want to be Dre. So when we first started, he was using me like a Swiss Army knife, trying to find out what I could do. I see how he does that too. And when he would flick one of them out, I didn't know I had that blade. Like he'd be like, play the bass here. Play the bass? I can't play on beat that long. Like this dude, I didn't do that. He said, play it. I play it because I like to get the sound. I get the sound, I play it. We'll record till you go off beat, and then we'll just punch you. He would relax me, and great production, right? So I played on like the Dre Day remix, you know, with where Parliament, the bass line changes to the other part. I saw, whoa, 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 that's me. So that's why he says on Puffin on Blunts, my dude glove on the funky ass bass line, because on that other song, we did them all. We did Dre Day remix, Puffin on Blunts, and Doggy Dog World the same 2 days.
Wow.
Right. So really one day and one day we mixed.
Okay.
So it evolved from first me being a producer on my own project, right? He came in.
And that was
where I was working. Yep, that's
Okay.
what he signed me for, because see, I figured it out. He put me in the training room. Here's some money, go, let me hear your music. So I was doing what I knew how to do, and I had a little more money so I could bring in a little spice. I got, you know, Ernie Isley to play guitar on some stuff.
That helps.
Yeah, I got, you know, blah, blah, blah. We'll link with him. I got Michelet on a song, and I got, you know, him on the intro and like 3 songs. So I got Dr. Dre, Michelet, Ernie Isley on my debut record.
Right.
So I'm feeling like, hey, I'm doing something. And he's hearing the music, and, oh, you should do this, we're gonna do that, and he's helping, right? Mostly, he knows how to really tweak stuff, like, for that. This Dre is multiple fast figures too, like a Swiss Army knife. So
I've seen it
he
on
was,
a much smaller scale, but I've seen it.
Yeah,
myself.
so he was producer Swiss Army at this moment, right? He's helping me develop my style.
Right.
So he's giving me money to do my things, and I'm doing them. And then they got another R&B group, we're writing songs. So he's like, okay, this guy can do these things. So he'll take me. He was working, Dre, actually what happened was he was working at Audio Achievements at that time. And he came over to see me, and I was mixing some at Can-Am. Oh, actually, this is what I did. I was working on my stuff over here off of Pico and Robertson in a little spot. We had the fire station. Shout out to my boy Jeff Goodman. He was the owner. And I would mix my songs. So I was mixing, when I did Reckless, I learned about Can-Am.
Okay.
So I went to Can-Am, and they had this room like this, where the board was like almost a circle, half circle, right? I was in there. Dre came in and was like, oh, this is like being in a jet. And he didn't know, you know, I had worked at Sunrise. I knew all the studios because I was doing all the DJing. That's where I learned that. So I said, man, come on, you never been? Nah. I said, man, let me tell you about automation. So I started telling him about the board and talking about SSL. He loved it off the top. He already knew how to turn the EQ. They look different at Audio Achievement. It was the same thing. That dude took to that board like a fish to water. He ran a Can-Am for like 4 years or something for Death Row.
No, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, oh man. So, you know, from there, now I'm going into work. We've been doing some stuff, and he's seen me working. So now he worked with another group. I didn't really, Justin and Colin and those guys, I was me doing all of my stuff. Like Dre was in 2 places.
Right.
So then he said, come on, I want you to do some stuff on my, you know, we left Ruthless and we were working on this Chronic record. So that's when I started working with him on the Chronic. He would have me play whatever it was, play this part, or he told me, I want you to produce this track for me. I want you to take this part, and this part, go make the track and bring it back. It was Stranded on Death Row.
Pretty good song.
Right? That's the
Pretty good
first
song.
song I produced with Dre. He told me what to do. I went and did it. I brought it back, and then we finished it up at the organ on the front and went through the groove, right? So I was like, wow, I produced a song with somebody like else.
Well, before we get too deep into all of that, since you brought it up, the thing that I've always found that was phenomenal about rap production when it does have the live instrumentation, and I really noticed this, at least for me, I noticed it the most with what Larry Smith did, primarily with Houdini, with when you add the actual music to it, the live music, the musicianship, the organs, the keyboards, the guitar, the bass, whatever it is, the drums even, and Dre did that on Ruthless, of course, as well. it just adds extra dimensions.
Layers, yeah.
So for you, like doing songs on the Chronic or other things that you've done with Dre in particular, what have you noticed that those extra wrinkles make those songs legendary?
Oh man, you know, it's funny because legendary songs are different from what you're saying.
Okay.
What you're saying is sonically excellent sounding songs that become legendary, some
Yes.
of them. So we got some people don't really consider legendary, but they're part of a legendary work, so they let
Right.
it go, but they don't really like this one as much as that one, like Little Ghetto Boy or Let Me Ride, you know what I mean? Let Me Ride won a Grammy, so,
Right,
you know,
right.
it's like, So the thing that I've noticed, like today, is the way we produce, and I noticed that it's a style, and I don't think anybody else does it but me and Dre. I've been working in one of Dre's studios for like the past 3 weeks, and the engineers there are like, I train his engineers, and I didn't realize, like I always tell them, okay, you got to do this, you got to be that, no, you got to be faster, because dude ain't gonna have no patience. You gonna, hey man, you know he got money, bro. He gonna break out on you, you know, get faster. And so during that, I go to Dre. So I'm working my session 12 hours. Dre like, what you doing? Oh, I'm just, you know, I'm chilling. Pull up, let's work. So I go to that studio for 6 more hours, right? The engineer I got working with me becomes the second at his session. So we all go up there, right? And that guy, the second, he's looking at Dre working. He was like, dude, I just left this. Like, you guys work exactly the same. Because we write, so we made records to tape. We don't do sequencing. We don't use sequencers. We use drum machines. You put a drum beat, that's it. You don't put the keys and the sample and all that unless you have to. Then you get because we had drum machines and samplers too. So we put samples in samplers, guys. So drum machine, if you really just use it for drums, you're gonna be amazed. I just gave you a secret. Not everything, just drums. Try it. Drum machine. So we would do that, right? We make the beat to tape. Then we get the musicians. Play this record. Play this. Not like that. This is one thing that I know we do. Musicians that play funk, everybody got their own feel. Right. We used to have to take that out and make you play this to our feel. And so we'll tell them the bass line. They just play it. We'll tell them the guitar part. That was sung and then played. Like we write, so we do. That's how you write a song. That's not a musical accompaniment. I told that guy what to play. He didn't write it. He just played it.
Of course.
You get paid to play the guitar. Don't tell me you wrote that.
He's a session musician.
But if that session musician says, how about this?
Now he's writing.
You just wrote that part. I can't come up with that. Here's your, you're now part of this. Yeah. That's the only way. Don't come play on my session and tell me you're going to be a writer when I just told you what to play. Sure, okay, let me hear what you wrote. And then play the part I sung to you. Okay, so anyway, the layers that Dre does now, you take a piece of music, you lay it in the Pro Tools. You take another piece, you lay it in the Pro Tools is like a canvas, a painting canvas. We lay it in there. Music, sounds, and see, we got other things I tell you off camera that we do that nobody needs to know that really lend to that. But the point is, where it was just me doing all these parts, or maybe Emmanuel Dean came in and worked on like What's My Name and all of that, Gin and Juice. Now there's like assassins for each part. You got his boy, you got them joints, Fred Wreck, folks, you got these cats. Trevor Lawrence, drummer. We make break beats. We don't borrow break beats. We don't take other people's. We make better break beats than they ever had because we heard those, and we got better equipment. Like the kids nowadays talk about how dope they are because they got, we're online and we can make so much more money. I'm like, you guys are dumb. You guys are diluting that money. When we was making music, we made money. Y'all ain't making money like this. Y'all are making this stream income out of it. Thin air come up and think you're making a lot of money. But you ain't making people money. It's one institution. When we used to sell records, trucks, trains, planes, people at the record store. Warehouses. That's an industry. Right. Ain't no more music industry. It's a music business now. See? So, anyway, the thing about the layers is each one of those of the Switch Army 9 blades became a super producer on his Army knife. His layers, I'm one of the blades, got a homie, other homies, bro. That is when you see it and hear the
Oh,
music.
I've seen it in person.
You got a
Only
drummer
couple
doing the
times.
drums.
Yeah.
You got a hip hop dude, DJ, doing the hip hop DJ part. You know?
It's like a symphony.
Man,
It really is.
Oh my God. And that's the growth that I saw.
Okay. And then, obviously, with the Chronic, you did the work on that. With Dre Day on the extended mix that you did for that, what, because that was in the era when, obviously, the Chronic was a watershed moment and changed the, not only rap, but I would argue music in general. It changed how things were done. So with that mix in particular, to me, that was among the era of the last of those types of things, really. So why do you think those things faded away a little bit?
So like the era of the last, think of this. The Chronic was the first and last. There was no other one like that. That's why it's in the Library of Congress by itself. Now he got 2 albums in there. As NWA, of course, that was a cultural, like you say, watershed moment on steroids. Like,
Right.
Oh my God, they saying niggas in their name. You know what I mean? Oh, and they like it. Oh, what the hell's going on? So, but it's just the whole thing with Dre and music and the whole culture of what we do. It's just being able to go in, like for instance, Spin Magazine said we changed sound. They said it was, and they call it BC, before the Chronic.
Okay.
And AC after the Chronic. That's when the music started. Cats took care and made their music sound better. Because that's all we try to do is make it like the guys before us. So I feel like being able to be with someone like that and be able to grow through all these eras and be 58 and making hotter music than these. I mean, what do you think? This is kung fu, bro. I don't know why they try to sell us out. Old guys. Nobody knows how old Yoda is, right?
No.
They always asking him questions, though.
Yes.
And he always got answers.
Yeah. Well, like we were talking about with Ice-T and yourself, with Dr. Dre. I mean, look at someone like LL, who you've worked with as well. I mean, these guys, and yourself included, have
Thank you.
lasted this long for a reason, because you know what you're doing.
It's ours.
And you created it and helped create it, as did all the rest of them I just mentioned, as well as others.
You too. It's ours.
Well, thank you.
We do this.
Yeah,
You're going to do it forever. You ain't going to stop.
And that's the power of it. And I think the importance of realizing that and why it's so significant is that it doesn't fade away when you do it the right way.
And to answer your question, so the Chronic, those other records that we love from that era, you know why you don't hear that? We stopped making it. It's like we put it on the shelf and started making other stuff.
Well,
And now I'm making that again. Wait till you hear the new stuff.
that ties in to the Aftermath compilation, which I know you worked on a lot with co-producing, but then also a lot of the songs that didn't have, most of them don't have Dre rapping on them, but a lot of the songs that didn't feature Dre and that were R&B or just different songs that were very, it's a compilation, so it's all over the place.
Supposed to be, yeah, exactly.
It's all over the place. But that being said, I thought there were some really good records on it. Some of it I didn't like as much. But for you as a creator of it, what did you see worked well with the album and what didn't work well, in your opinion?
I feel like the reason the record didn't sell more than 1 million copies or much more is because they were expecting Dre's next record. And
They were expecting
really,
this.
anticipation of that fucked everything else. Killed it. Like if he had just said, hell yeah, on the record, that just would have been it. Would have been to the roof. But we was trying to kind of say what we were saying on that record. Like we rap and we that, but we've grown up, we like to dress up sometimes and wear suits and do the waltz, shit with bad bitches. You know what I'm saying? Try it. You might enjoy it. Fuck all that other shit. We don't gotta be in the street, lowrider bouncing all the time. We could do that too. It's okay to do this. So when we did that record, I I wanted it to be a soundtrack because, see, that's the only thing you can do all over the place. That's one piece.
Okay.
So if we had made a piece of visual to go with it, nobody would have that shit to say, bro. And I was like, well, if we just make it an event of a soundtrack, they won't say we go all over the place. Fuck that shit. That's where Compton came from. But it wasn't a soundtrack. It was those things you do. How do they call it? Inspired by.
Right.
If it had been a soundtrack, it would have been another 5 million. The same songs. Oh, I can get all them songs together? So, anyway, the whole thing with the music and the way that the records are made and the efforts and I think that there were some good songs. There were some really good songs. Like there was a girl who had a song on there. I think we were gonna sign. Her name was I forgot her name. It was a girl singing a solo on there. A great song. I mixed that song, but we didn't. Since the compilation didn't go really more, it should have been our big seller. And he was like, I'm not messing with nobody on this compilation.
Well, unfortunately, King T was on there, and he's. That Kingdom Come was such an amazing album because I have the original version of it.
With my songs on it?
I have it.
Oh, okay.
And that album, I would say, is borderline flawless. And it was just disappointing because as somebody I think is not only extremely underrated, but super talented, I really thought that was going to be his relaunch to get back to where he was, at his prime. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. But again, that doesn't diminish the fact that he has all this amazing music. And that was just disappointing for me because he's so phenomenal. But around that time, then you started, doing stuff with Xzibit. You did Focus with Saphir, Hit List, and all these different songs, and you were branching out. So when you work with a Saphir, or when you work with an Xzibit, obviously, they also collaborated together extensively. But with them, what did you notice as a producer that they, gravitated towards that you saw was different from how people interacted you when you're in the studio with Dre, when it's you as the captain?
Yeah, that's
how is it? How is it different?
When Captain Kirk beams up to the planet, and Spock has the comm.
Yeah.
You know what, those guys, this is one thing I do like about, like when I did Saphir, I was I have a few gaps where I'm not working with Dre because I've always tried to be my own man at first. I mean, I was struck out on my own, I used to hear from cats like Big John, I'm going to Big John, get a publishing deal. I got these records, right? And I'm like, yo, I need $1 million. And he's like, well, you gonna sign with Dre or? I'm like, nah, man. I'm like, well, you with Dre, that's big. You by yourself, we don't know yet. And I'm like, okay, well, and I'm getting that everywhere. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go do some songs. So I did the Militia. Right. So I first started, they had Burn. It was hot.
That was a big record.
That was Emmanuel Dean too, rest in peace. So I jumped on that, did a remix. Barry put me onto that. Lord G was in that group. And so Lord G was where he was gonna sign to Death Row. He actually signed to Death Row. We were gonna do an album on him. So, but some things with Suge and things just caused it to be whatever. So, with Lord G and with all of those elements that we were doing, I lost track of where I went when I brought up Suge, bro. I hate that. As soon as I thought of Suge, I was like, oh man, why did I go?
Well, you were saying the Militia, Lord G.
So I was working on Militia, thank you. And from there, we did Burn, we did the remix, we put out Who's the Next MC. Then I go, Red Ant is gonna sign me now. They're like, oh, you know what? We like you, man. I know you got. They're the first people say we don't care about Dre. We can put money behind you. You got good music. Like they didn't even say we're gonna make you the next Dre, which is what Suge used to always say. And I'd be like, I don't want to be the next Dre. I am Dre. I don't have to be the next Dre. I'm with Dre. That's Dre.
Right.
I don't want to be Dre. I want to be Glove. Can I be Glove? Please. I've been Glove. Dre knows that I had a platinum record before he did. And he came to honor that by giving me that. He knew I was platinum certified when he came to my house. He was respectful, bro. He came to the OG's house. I'm older than Dre. Oh, man. Remember that plaque? You got 4 times the plaque I got. How do you do that? So we start working together. And it's like the same. It's an honor, And so anyway, I did it again. Anyway.
Militia.
After Red Ant told me that I didn't have to be the next Dre, I was going over there. So what they did was they bought a thing on Mix Magazine, put my name on the back, and then I'm fucked at the aftermath, right? So I started working with, I did Focus, I did Saphir. This is in that gap. But those guys, to answer that question, they honored again. They were like, man, we just want to get next to you because we want to work with Dre. And so the next best thing is, I wasn't with Dre when I worked with him. And Suave came over to my house, Focus, and they was like, yo, we don't care. We want to work with you. Because they knew if they worked with me and got something, the next step was going to be Dre.
Gotcha.
Naturally. You don't have to say, oh, you could give me the Dre. They weren't dumb. They said, hey, we can get the Dre. This dude, so they paid me for 2 songs. They used one, Focus, and that's what Dre heard, that dude's voice on his own production.
Gotcha.
And then the next thing they did.
Bitch, please.
Right. And I was having brain surgery, so I couldn't work on that or Eminem's project or any of that. I was recuperating, but c'est la vie.
And thankfully, there's a lot of life to live.
Oh, yeah.
So let's, man, it's been amazing. Let's wrap it here for part 1.
We can get to Tupac and all that next time.
Man, we got so much more to get. We're barely, and there's even more of this era I want to ask, but let's take a break for a minute. And Glove, appreciate you coming through, man.
Bro, one love all day.
Yes, yes. Chris the Glove Taylor, I'm Soren Baker here on Unique Access. Appreciate it, y'all.